Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and I have to confess, I was wrong. And what was I wrong about? Runestones. They're great. No, please do not cancel me. It's not about runestones. They still suck. However, the latest balance patch, I was worried about certain class dominating, and we're gonna get into that before. By the way, we're almost like 100 subs. We're at the 100 sub mark from getting to 58K. You guys hit that sub button. We're 100 subs away from unlocking that new giveaway, and I'd love to unlock it really soon to try and get you guys some cool stuff. So hit that sub button if you haven't already. Make me go broke. But yes, what was I wrong about? Well, I got HS replay loaded, and you can see, and again, HS replay front page stats are across all ranks and are not indicative of the entire meta, or it's just an indicator. But you can see the latest patch, only Edwin going from 3 to 4. I was worried that it's going to become Roguestone. And well, Rogue on HS replay, at least across all ranks, is dead last, tied with Warrior. But you'll note that from top to bottom, we're only at about a 9% range across all ranks, whereas not that long ago it was like 15%. It was ridiculous. But for actual good analysis, let's take a look at how things are looking at top legend. Looking at top 1000 legend since the latest patch, we have seen new contenders take over at tier 1, and they are not Rogue. And by no means is Rogue struggling, by the way. We'll talk about that in a second. I think this might be one of the healthier metas we've had class-wise while this entire expansion. This new patch has breathed a lot of life into the game. I think it's been a really good patch, so I want to shout out Aleko Gariko. The last patch, I think we all can admit, just it missed the mark. The Edwin buff, and well, the other classes not being able to compete with that. It was just too much. But this latest patch that dialed Druid down, dialed Mage, which I think might have been dialed a bit too much. Mage is the one kind of blemish, I think, maybe on this patch, as well as Rogue, right? Like, it dialed Druid, Rogue, and Mage down, and has allowed the other classes to kind of catch up. And we're seeing that here, where Naga Priest and Beast Hunter are the top 2 decks. Actually didn't recommend them in my easy legend deck guide, because first off, if you take a look at Naga Priest, I don't love recommending a deck that relies on, do I draw Serpent Wig? Because that is the deck, and I'm wondering if this is a healthy thing, that is, it's basically 67, sometimes some lists it's up to 70% mulligan win rate for that Serpent Wig, and every other card is just kind of bad. Feels like a bad gameplay experience. But Beast Hunters also emerged with people doing very well with it, and the reason I didn't recommend it was because I just wasn't sure how strong it was going to be. But I would take that pure Paladin list out of my recommended if you want to check out Big Beast Hunter. I will post a couple codes in the description below if you want to check out Wig Priest, you want to check out Big Beast Hunter, you're interested in climbing those, because those are really good decks. But you see, no Druid, no Rogue, no Mage tier 1, and we look at tier 2, again, there's multiple priests. Funny enough, Quest Priest is one of the decks that got nerfed the hardest without getting nerfed, because Rogue, well, that's what it farmed, right? It farmed Milk Rogue, and well, it's not as prevalent, so it's not quite up there. You'll see Quest Priest is still a competitive deck, around 50%. It's doing fine. But we have Imp Warlock, Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter all of a sudden has 2 decks near the top. It's why I said I didn't think Demon Hunter needed buffs this last go around. They just needed to catch up. They've caught up. Fell Demon Hunter, I've seen people hit rank 1 legend with it. It's doing really well. Aggro Demon Hunter feels like people are sleeping on it. That one's getting a lot stronger. But you see, Rogue still has 3 tier 1 decks. It's not like Rogue is bad by any means. It's just not Roguestone. And if you take a look, it's more at higher legend too. Let's take a look at like Diamond through legend. You don't see any Rogue in the tier 1, tier 2, because it's just, they're tougher decks to play, and they're more meta dependent. You'll see that the Edwin Rogue, the Thief Rogue, the Mine Rogue we just saw are the tier 3. So the top 1000 legend, when you have the best players playing the best decks, you see there's a good assortment. Even Warrior is up here within Rage Warrior. Pretty much every class is represented at this point outside of 2 classes and the elephant in the room. I think Mage probably got hit too hard. I think the Dawngrasp nerf to the hero card was adequate, and I did predict that the Mage location was going to get nerfed because I felt like they're going to hit 2. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Mage location being hit on top of Dawngrasp has really hurt the class, and it's been dropping every day since the patch went live, to the point where the best performing deck is Big Spell Mage, which ran those 2 cards. I don't know if people are still running the location in Nightcloak Sanctum and Dawngrasp progress, but it's hurted enough that Mage is kind of going to be in that spot where people aren't going to want to play it as much. And actually, Mage was my favorite deck to play, the Spooky Mage, so it makes me sad. And it reminds me of when the Naga Mage got nerfed with the 4-mana Naga card. I'll put a picture, I can't remember the name offhand, but that killed the deck, and it was a deck I really liked. I understood the nerf because it was like, it created these giant board swings on turn 4, but at the end of the day, it's kind of bad that, in my opinion, that, you know, Mage might have got hit a little bit too hard. It's still playable, but it just feels a little bit worse. But you can see, we have multiple decks doing really well, and again, Paladin, it just can't catch up, right? I recommend the Pure Pally. You can see it can win games, 47%. Not exactly killing it. People are already kind of abandoning it, but it's just something, it's kind of cool, and people want to make it work. It's just, the cards aren't there. I'll just put the comment again where Aleko Gariko went over the Bannerman buff, right? There was a change to Pure Paladin that I saw Alliance Bannerman go to a 2/2, but at the end of the day, Paladin just needs better cards. They just need better stuff, unless you're gonna buff a Cariel to like 7 or 6 again, and even 7 I don't think would make the hugest difference. It would definitely up the percentage points, but then you're upping a card that creates so much frustration, and like, oh, I gotta run Vipers now to counter it. It's just one of those cards that I see a lot of comments on where we're talking about buffs in Paladin, and we're like, yeah, let's not go down that road, because Cariel can be a very polarizing, frustrating card. It's still really good at 8. Like, it's not like you don't run the card, because it's so good still at 8. So yes, Paladin, Mage, still not quite there. Control Warrior is the worst listed deck still, despite like 3 cards being buffed this expansion cycle. That has a lot to do with 2 cards in particular that weren't nerfed that still are going to be the contentious ones. That this is what I'm definitely not wrong about, is that we're still in this. Theotar the Mad Duke in now 55% of decks. Sire Denathrius in 46%, Bran in 50%, and Prince Renathal in over 40%. Sure, they nerfed Kael'thas, right? Sinstrider. They nerfed it so you can't couple with Bran. But as I mentioned during our balance patch review, a lot of people have been ditching that combination already. And in particular with like Relic Demon Hunter, you can still brand Denathrius quite consistently with your discounts, with your Relic of Dimensions here, and Theotar just is in every deck. It doesn't matter if it steals Denathrius, it steals a key card. It's just really good, and the frustration level of this card is really high. There are tons of people that defend it. This is the most polarizing card I've ever seen, and I see both sides of the argument, but I feel like a neutral card that's in 55% of the decks still, despite the fact that Denathrius and all of this have been hit, to me that seems to be a bit problematic. Seems to be like something they will probably address in the future, because like, when do they ever want a neutral card in that many decks? Even Zephyrus back in the day, even Baku and Gen back in the day, I don't believe ever hit this threshold. Even Prince Renathal, which is our super popular card, which makes decks really good, flexible, can do a lot of different stuff, is still only in 40%. Denathrius, of course, trumps this because it's just a busted finisher that every deck that runs minions, why don't you run it? So meta has changed a lot. I was wrong about Rogue being top tier, but what I am correct about is Theotar still being a dominant force in the meta. Denathrius still basically being like every deck almost. It still feels like it's in every deck, and I still feel like at least one of those cards will be addressed before this next expansion is out. But we got a mini set coming up probably in a few weeks. We'll see how things spice up then. Likely not a balance patch until then, but yeah, it's just interesting to see how the meta's evolved. It's good to see a lot of fresh faces up top, and I'd love to hear how you guys are enjoying the new meta or not enjoying it, however you feel. And again, we'll keep you guys posted on all the news and events. And tomorrow there's a Wild Brawlseum, and I think we're gonna have a little bit to talk about that, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.